Welcome back to some professional StarCraft from IEM Katowice 2019. Two of the best players in StarCraft, two Korean GSL contenders. Let me first introduce you. In the top left, it is herO. Former Brood War player who a Team Liquid player in early StarCraft 2 named himself after, and then has since stopped playing competitively, leaving the original herO as the true herO, as he always was. So, go ahead and just mull over that one for a second while I introduce the Gatekeeper Terran. In the top right? No. Bottom right. Not that hard. It's Alive. Alive, the Gatekeeper, because he seems to almost always qualify for GSL. He's always... And much of the time he gets through to, like, the round of 16 or even the round of 8. But it's very rare that he gets deep in the tournament, like semifinals or finals. So, I guess the best way to put it is Alive. Could beat anybody. But you never put him as a favorite. I guess... Yeah, that was fine. That was good. He could beat anybody, but you're not sure he would beat anybody. I'm trying to phrase it more cleverly. I did not think it through. But, solid Terran player, but just not on the level usually of Maru, Innovation, TY, special players like that. But he's up against a top tier, one of the top 3-4 Protoss in the world. Definitely on everybody's short list. herO is also a bit more of a timing-oriented Protoss. And by timing-oriented, I kind of mean a cheesy devil. As sometimes he will break out things like right now he's got a Zealot first. This isn't an all-in. He did get a Cybercore quickly. This is just a little bit of extra pressure to throw things off. But not many Protosses are getting a Zealot. Especially not to just expand behind. And the expand has been scouted, I might point out. So Alive knows... There's not a huge follow-up behind this. He has to manage his response carefully. Because the most dangerous thing you can do in Terran versus Protoss is... Well, the first most dangerous thing you can do against Protoss is underreact. Where you just don't respect the timings or attacks that Protoss can do, especially early on. And you end up taking inordinate amounts of damage to things like 1 Adept, or even an Oracle and 3 Adepts or something like that. Little timings. A little lag. And the second most dangerous thing, wait, what really, herO? Oh, come on. Wait, did he not scout it? Oh, come back. Did he see it? Yes, he saw it. So, herO actually looked for this specifically. I'm sure he knows this is in the playbook. The proxy starport is scouted. But... What I mean about overreacting is making extra bunkers, delaying infrastructure. With his dying breath, that SCV cut the ribbon on the starport. So, what happened here is that herO, I don't know if he was trying to be smart about it or he literally didn't see it. Like, it was on his minimap, but he wasn't staring at the Zealot. So he may not have realized he scouted the proxy starport. He comes over, and at the last second, the SCV finishes the starport. Or he was trying to be clever and wait till the last second to not give it away to Alive that he sees it. I'm not sure which one it is, but either way, the SCV could not, within a split second, finishes the starport. So that will keep alive in this game. Losing that starport when it's pretty much done, forcing it to cancel or send another SCV out or something, puts you in a terrible spot. It's very difficult to recover from that position because the options you have as a Terran are already limited, and herO would definitely know that. herO opting for, well, he started with a Stargate. Did he get an Oracle? No, he's been building Phoenixes, actually. That's not a bad response. I need to... Wait a sec! Turn it... Jimmy, turn it down! Okay, thank you. But, thank you for that. We're trying to be professional here. So far, there is a Whittle Mine at the third. It looks like it hit one of the Phoenixes. And just in time, he picks it up before it recharges. The Phoenixes will take a bruising, and they will be revealed. But there's no direct counter to Phoenixes early on. Vikings do not go toe-to-toe with Phoenixes very well at all. Marines don't fly. And since the starport production was delayed, he's just now finishing his reactor. Alive just has to play defense for now. The question will be, how much is herO going to commit into a third? How greedy is he going to be behind this? Because he does need to build a ground arm. He's getting +1 armor and charge. So he's looking for this overwhelming number of charge lots to just bludgeon any attack coming in. He's not going for the finesse-oriented blink some players will. He's going for the charge lots. And that means he's just going to try to run over the Marines. Already some SCVs going down. Alive becoming more and more committed to an all-in. Does he know about the third? It doesn't really matter too much, as Alive, he's not building anything that's going to keep these Phoenixes out of his base long-term. It's likely he might even pull the boys, but he knows that the longer he lets herO go, the worse it's going to get. There's a scan in the main. He sees more gates on the way. I believe one of these is a Templar Archives. An incredibly important timing. Oh, I think he's going to pull the boys. And why do I think that? Okay, he saw there can't be Storm yet. He's not building any Liberators. Oh, the bait with one of the Widow Mines. Decent for now. If Storm comes out, like if Storm gets out, this game is pretty close to ended. Because herO does have a third, he has a better economy, and there's no counters to Storm. Alive is coming out 62 to 44 army supply. The Chrono boost has to be laid permanently onto that Templar Archives. Without Storm, this push is deadly. Even with it, the Siege Tanks and Widow Mines can have a lot of zoning potential. A tank on the high ground, a little bit of a slick move there. Another couple medevacs coming out to expedite their time. Well, herO wasn't paying attention. What is inside of the Warp Prism? He's got 3 Templar. So important to this defense. A lot of the units shaved off early on, but this is only superficial damage thus far. That pylon could be... Okay, the pylon is not taken out before Storm. Storm will complete. The Templar are here. Beautiful storms. The friendly fire coming in onto the Phoenixes. Actually, I don't know if that was intentional. He'll clean up the attack, but there's a drop on the third and a drop in the main. He's trying to tear them apart. A single charge lot in the main base. He'll use the storm. I mean, might as well clean things up. But all the probes cleared out of the third, and Alive suddenly starting to get some damage done. The Widow Mine connects from downtown. 20 probes, 22 probes, and counting. He's still going. The damage has been done. herO is down to 69 supply. This is exactly the scenario. This is one of the few scenarios where this kind of evens out, especially if he gets the third base. herO just pulled every which way. Nope. Yep. There you go. All right. That would have been a massive blunder, but herO loses dozens of probes. He loses his third. He uses his storms as well. Alive did everything right there. He hit that small timing before herO had Storm, and by the time he did, he'd already lost a critical mass of his charge lots and couldn't really respond to the drops in the army at the same time. Now herO, he has to attack. The tables have been turned. He's got 1-1 done, as does Alive. There are ghosts on the way, Liberators. Are there already Liberators out? Not yet. But a couple Liberators as well as these Widow Mines, let alone some ghosts. This is a desperate attack. The army supplies are even. 3 Templar in the Prism, but if that hits... Oh no! It's a disaster! The 3 Templar Prism is knocked out of the sky by the Widow Mine on the field. And with it, any hope of this attack being deadly. The EMP from the side. There's only 1 storm left, and it's gone. That was it. Those flanking storms were herO's entire attack. Try to get the army into a position where he can do overwhelming damage. But when you lose the Prism and the Templar, not only your damage, but also your reinforcement potential. This is a devastating blow. Here comes herO again. He has one more round. He's got a bunch of charge lots and he's got a dream, but that's a lot of liberators. And by that I mean 2, which is still too many. Another round of charge lots is coming in. Alive is holding the line. He can still pull the boys in front of this. He will, making sure this goes the way he wants. The medevacs will keep enough intact. The only splash damage is one. Very dangerously well, now it's dead. Archon. Is there enough for a storm? In 10 seconds. 10 seconds too late. GG. Alive takes game number 1. A pretty convincing well, that actually was a pretty clinical demonstration. herO early on, he did well. He didn't shut down. Well, he should have shut down. That was a mistake to not actually shut down the starport. But he could have. But Alive sat back. He knew he would be down on economy, but he knew there would be a window when his army was larger than herO's. And if that window was before splash damage, then there's nothing that herO can really do besides just hope to minimize damage. So Alive, there was like a 20-30 second timing, and he nailed it. But it's a best of 3. Best of 1s would be silly in StarCraft. Let's continue. Jimmy! Game 2's on King's Cove. A little bit more of, well, King's Cove, one of the best defensive maps if you get 3 bases. There are ramps up to your natural and your third. So for either side, playing the defender is going to come down to making sure nothing gets into your main for the most part. TVP is a little bit less reliant on well, you worry less about things like ramps and Terran versus Protoss than, say, Terran versus Zerg. Well, Zerg in general, I'm not a huge fan of ramps with things like Zerglings. But overall, I don't expect to see either of these players pulling a Diamond Leaguer and just attacking up a ramp in the siege tanks and praying there aren't too many. Especially Alive. I hope he doesn't attack up in the siege tanks in this series. That would be devastating. So herO last game opted for the semi-pressure early on. I think the intention of going for the Zealot and getting a Cyber Core before Expand, delaying the Expand slightly, was to take advantage of no SCV Scout. A lot of players won't SCV Scout early on. Alive did so last game. But if there's no SCV Scout and the Reaper just heads straight to the base, like oftentimes it does, then a Zealot just shows up on your doorstep, and there's no turning this away. You've got to, it's a whole deal if that Zealot just shows up. You were not expecting visitors, okay? You have not cleaned up the house. They're over there. I mean, it's a Zealot. It's, of course, preaching about how great Ire is and the Kala and all that. And you're like, I don't want to hear it. But it would be rude to turn it away. It would be rude to stop it from knocking on the door of your command center you're trying to build. So you got to figure something out. But this game, SCV Scout, once again, and herO not trying to do any of those semi-sneaky builds. Alive playing it safe. It paid off last game. The Reaper knows it's safe to come out, and there won't be any units sneaking in. Adept is shading out. So there was an interesting change and exchange in the last mini-patch, or a couple mini-patches ago. It's hard to tell. But the Adept out of a gateway, not a warp gate, but a gateway, takes 3 seconds longer to build. The intent of this, the real struggle for Terran players, Protoss are like, cry me a river. Oh, what happened here? Why is your... The probe stopped an SCV from mining. Alive! Oh, you can't do this. Well, it's not a Zealot, but it is an Adept. It's got some oh, the long-distance glaives. And now the command center will be delayed. The Reaper has 2 probe kills, but that does not balance out. This command center is your supply depot! I believe the herO probe forced him to pull off building it for a little bit, and he forgot to put it back on while he was microing his Reaper, or maybe he didn't have an SCV down there. And then the Adept comes up. So I was talking about how the Adept takes a little longer to build. It's to minimize how consistently Protoss can delay the command center, because that's a huge blow to Terran with very little risk for a lot of reward. Despite that here, obviously the command center severely delayed. Some probes died for the cost because he sent those units out he sent the adept out so early, but well, at this point 6 probes. It's starting to add up. I'd say around 5 probes is where we even out. Because it's only been a Reaper and a Hellion, and the Reaper's still alive. So at this point, the damage for alive, I think, is tilting this the other direction. Already kind of an action-packed game. It doesn't look like that's going to end anytime soon. Because herO is building a Warp Prism. He wants to get aggressive. He's gambling right now that alive has gone for a heavier tech build. Like, for example, he goes for like a Widowmine drop, or he's building more Hellions. And herO just comes in. The Reaper never dies. And herO just comes in with a Warp Prism and a couple rounds. Like, he has 9 or 10 Gateway units. You just don't have anything. Thankfully for alive here, I think the story of the series is he's playing it safe. Oh, there was an Immortal built beforehand. But, which means the tank is not safe here. This is a very dangerous build. But since there is a tank done and some Marines, this is not going to have the deadly effect it might have if he was going for a more tech-oriented build. And also, there is a Viking. There aren't enough Stalkers to deal with this. The Immortal going to blast through. He can maybe juggle it on top. 2 tanks go down, so big blows on both sides. The Immortal kiting back. It's got a Stalker in the mix as well. He tries to recall it out. The Immortal will not survive. By that much. Almost a nice play there. Getting that Immortal out would definitely have alleviated some of the, well, almost self-inflicted damage, like the failure of that attack. Losing the Warp Prism, losing the Immortal, so this has given away a lot, because right now, herO, alive rather, he has a Reaper on the 3rd. He's going to be scouting for the other 3rd. Which is less commonly taken in this matchup on the outside, but not out of the question. So that means herO, he went for this early attack, and a lot of a couple minutes of robo time have been destroyed. He's lost the Immortal, he lost the Warp Prism, which means there's no Colossus, there's no overwhelming tech advantage, but herO trying his absolute best to prove me wrong. Did he just cancel the Robo Bay at the last second? I believe he did. He had a Robo Bay and a Templar Archives on the way. I'm like, wow, how are you going to afford this? He asked himself the same question right before the Robo Bay finished. And he's just going to be going down the Templar route. Warp Prism, very sneaky at the bottom of the map. Waiting for its opportunity. A lot more gateways on the way. It doesn't look... herO, he may take the base. But this is essentially a decoy, I think, here. It's to make alive think, okay, we're playing a macro game, but there's Viking. The reconnaissance, and it's going to drop down and take some pot shots at probes. Vikings 2-shot probes. They do a pretty good job. And seeing all these gates will give alive all the key information he needs. Does he have a 3rd command center? Neither player going to be on a quick 3 base. herO is taking his 3rd, and he has been scouted, so I think he's going to bank a little bit less on the... Where did the Warp Prism go? What? He recalled it back. Oh, it has Templar in it. Oh, it now has Templar. So instead of going for the all-out attack, because obviously alive will have that information, you're going to kind of transition into a Templar drop. A Storm drop, which is something we haven't seen very much of lately. The Marines will stem. Will the Observer survive? The chase is on. The Observer dies. Very, very quick chase. Oh, no, not again. The random Widow Mines. Oh, no! And he was distracted. Speaking of Widow Mines. No, he's coming back! No, 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 no! Okay, 6. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. I think I just broke the mic. But the Widow Mines putting a big dent in herO's game plan here. He can't risk that Prism, especially with the Templar inside. Not again. Deja vu. Of course, this time it survived at least. And the Widow Mines killed 6 probes, which isn't the end of the world, but obviously it's worse than them not killing any probes. I said, blowing people's minds. herO with some scouting pylons out. Both sides trying to really put feelers out on the map. we've reached that stage where the armies are dangerous enough. You can't really afford to have it out on the map without risking either a backstab or your army just being wiped away. That's why herO backed off and went for the storm drop instead of a direct attack, and that's why Alive was sitting back until he had something to counter. But it looks like everybody is ready to go. The next round has begun. The bell has rung, and the ghosts! Why are you there? They're out in front of everything. One of them survives, but it's on the run. A bit of a miscontrol there out of Alive. It's going to make things a little bit more difficult. The Widowmines get nice connections, doing that extra damage to shields, and herO looking to carve his way into the third. He's got the Templar and the Prism. Alive has to know that's a risk. He sees the Templar on the ground, and then, well, now he sees the Templar on the ground as he drops out Alive, losing those early ghosts. He has a drop up towards the north. He dropped out that... Oh, my God! The storms! Devastating! He has to retreat into his depots. The boys must be pulled. EMP connects. No more storms. He gets it across the board. Where did this... some turrets at the back and an anti-armor missile. Maybe just enough to defend. There's a Viking on the deck, but the third base is under fire as well. herO is pushing in the Cheeto dust on top of everything. It also affects the shields of that Archon. But will he have enough to defend? herO was a little distracted dealing with the drops at the back. The Marines, they're on top. There'll be enough to clean up the Zealots, but an Archon pops out, and that Archon is very angry. 32 SCVs died, but so did 14 probes, bringing us to 39 workers for herO to 26 for Alive. But he still has 3 orbital commands, which means his income might be on life support here. But he still has it. He'll be able to match herO. In fact, he'll have a little bit more with all those mules dropping down after the fight. herO with a... He did near critical damage. Alive, losing those early ghosts. He's lost the economy to go for additional upgrades, but herO doesn't have upgrades. He doesn't even have a forge, if I'm correct. He has no forge. It's a brute force strategy, which means Alive might not realize there's a lot going on. He might not realize yet that herO isn't going to just sit back. When you don't have upgrades, he can't risk Alive getting to 2-2. In that case, the Bio Army is going to be incredibly cost-effective. You can't afford that. So Alive is out on the map thinking, I got to pressure herO before he gets too big. And herO's kind of thinking the same thing, to be honest. Oh, but the Marauders looking for the snipe on the Templar. They're running the gauntlet, but there's Stalkers and Zealots at every turn. Looks like a semi-base trade is shaping up now. The third base is exposed, and it might be killed. He's just going in for, well, the front here. The Ghosts! Why? Why? Alive. Why are they there? But the base trade again. A drop on the left. A attack on the right. The Templar trying to warp in. Alive trying to handle the attack back at home. He scrambled the Prism and took it out. I don't know if those were Zealots or Templar, but the Prism is gone. No reinforcements here. Massive hit. Widowmines from downtown. The drop continuing forward. A lot of probes have died, but FCVs will follow suit. Alive continuing to build up on the high ground. A couple medevacs have lost their payloads, but are still in the sky for now. herO desperately trying to mine 32 workers. An EMP hits all of the Templar. There's no storm. He's trying to hold the line. He's got the medevacs. These 2 upgrade advantage bio. He leaves the Archon behind. Templar targeted down. I think he got all of them. No, 1 Templar survived. This drop not gonna happen. It survives in the back of the base. But herO has cleared out a lot. 16 SCVs to 27 probes. But I go back to the army composition, killing those Archons and the Templar as well. How many Templar are left? 3 Templar on the field, 1 Ghost, 4 medevacs. These force multipliers here. herO on a desperate economy, but so is Alive. When it comes down to gateway units versus Bio, especially with this upgrade advantage, is going to win every time. It's the Templar and the Archons and things like that turn the tides. The splash damage is incredibly important. herO does maintain a slight supply lead, but we go back to those upgrades. It really just depends on what units are where. I'm not sure if this observer spotted the drop going out. There is protection. If he just sends this into 2 Stalkers, well, Alive's hopes and dreams are crushed. Oh, no. Very, very close. herO is now trying to sit back. He's trying to stabilize, picks up another Warp Prism. Mobility, incredibly important. Alive just needs to pick up this game. We do have Stalkers and Zealots. A scan finds the observer. Very important here. The drops will come back home. It's a little riskier. You saw Alive constantly focusing on backstabbing with drops. A semi-base trade. Because he doesn't want it all to come down to whether or not a couple storms land. Speaking of a couple storms, he's out in the center of the map. There better not be ghosts in the front again Alive. I don't want to see that again. But the Widow Mines? Oh, and an EMP hits 2 Templar. There's still a couple Templar. Another one from the side. The Archon will merge, but the storms from above! Is there any other damage out on the map? Not at the moment. Alive is trying to hold on. herO still on no forges, but those are Archons coming in. Is there enough army? EMP's landing. He needs to clear up some of the shields on those Archons. The Marines and Marauders not at full HP. The Medevac's doing their absolute best. The Archons are trapped behind. He's trying to juggle back. There's one more storm! He gets it off. Is that enough? The Blake Stalker's going back and forth with it. Juggles back the Archon. Warps in some Templar. Not enough anti-air to take out the Prism. The Charge Lot's in front. Alive, dipping in supply. The Archons survive. Another Marauder taken out. The third base is under fire. He's warping in more Templar. He has an economy back at home. And Alive's back is broken. That single storm was enough. And he works his way through. Ties it up 1-1. I don't even... It's really hard to... That's one of those games that you can't compare it to other games. If that makes sense. Because there's so much going on. You can't be like, well, he should have gotten upgrades, or he should have gotten Liberators, or something like that. There's never been a game exactly like that. There's been games similar, but it's... That spiraled into quite a slugfest very quickly. And that brings us to the decider. Which... Jimmy, thank you. Is gonna be on Kairos Junction. Alive very close to bringing home that last match. Imagine if those initial ghosts hadn't been picked off. Then again, for herO, imagine if his storm drop hadn't been stopped before it started. There's a lot of things that could have happened. That's what I'm getting to. It started out with a delay on the command center, but a bunch of probes dying to just a couple of units from Alive. Neither player letting each other have very much room to breathe. Speaking of which, herO sent out a probe at the beginning of the map, and he's blocking a barracks with it. He's gonna try to tap on that SCV, use the shields. Are probes? Probes are not the most annoying unit. Alright, if you ask, you just think about it for a moment. Name a more annoying unit than probes. Not only can they harass like this, they can cannon rush, they can well, I mean, let me repeat that, they can cannon rush, they can put pylons down, proxy tech buildings. There is no one unit in the game that can create more strife than a probe. You might be like, well, Reapers and Liberators or DTs or Mutalisks. No. A probe can do it all. Don't underestimate it. From the start to finish of the game. He's blocking the command center for a little bit longer. He knows the Reaper not coming out till about 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And yes, I say a specific number for you guys. Was he just going to lose the probe? He's just going to... Will he steal it? Oh, he went for it. Alive's like, no. Stop right there. Maybe he can get an SCV. He's going to continue backwards. And the legacy of the probe.
First blood.
The SCV takes the kill. But the probe takes the moral victory. First adept going out. Once again, the Reaper takes a couple taps, which makes this very dangerous. Because the Adept Shade can potentially chase down the Reaper. And the fact it's been driven out for any amount of time makes it much less of a threat back at home, now that herO has more units. Alive has to pull off the command center, and every Terran, especially Alive, now breathes a collective sigh of doing it again. If that probe hadn't delayed the CC for a few extra seconds, hadn't delayed the barracks for a few extra seconds, would we be here? It's all because of the probe. Hellion Reaper once again. It is going to be maybe a Widowmine Marine drop or something along those lines. There's a medevac on the way. You don't build a medevac unless you're going to drop early. A medevac is not a defensive tool at this stage of the game. If you wanted to play defensive, we'd see something like a Raven or a Liberator or even a Viking. But no. How much is he going to pick up and drop out is the question. Just the Widowmines? Couple Marines with it? Nah, that Hellion not getting in there. In fact, might die. Just the Widowmines. He's on his way out. herO behind it? Is it another Prism play? Does he add on? He hasn't built anything out of his robo yet. Starts the Twilight. We'll have to see. The Adept not having any of that Hellion's business. The drop is coming in. The Reaper sniped off, but he dragged those units out of position, giving him maybe an opportunity to get some damage done with the Widowmine drop. He'll force the probes away. He might pick them up again, yeah. Second one will go down. Gets one kill, loses a mine. Some mining time. I don't think he mines. A little bit of mind games. You gotta be mindful of what those probes are doing if he picks up the Widow Mines and blows them right back down. I'm done. It's over. I'm losing my mind. Don't mind me. herO going for the +1 armor in charge. Similar to game 1. But not reaching out so quickly for the third base like he was. It looks like he's going to get his gateway production up beforehand. This lessens the effectiveness of early 2-base timings. Like right now, for example. Alive coming out, specifically putting all this together to pressure a quick third. That quick third not happening. The medevac will scout it. Great reaction time here on herO. The mine is triggered. This is awkward. There's already an observer in place. There's nothing the medevac can do about this probe if it wants to take another base. The observer placements, wow, he just puts it right at the edge there. Like, I have to zoom out to outside a game camera in order to see that. Alive is on the hunt for observers. Will that hunt be fruitful? What is in there? Oh! The feedback! The Templar feedback on the Raven. Huh. That's a cute play. No storm on the way, I might add. This is essentially a 2-base charge lot Archon all-in. Alive, I don't think is respecting this yet. He does not have the respect. Or as that terrible sign in GSL said, respect. That was such a bad sign. Widowmine will survive. There's 3 Marines and a Marauder at home. There's nothing here. He's got another group of buyout on the map. Stim is done in 13 seconds. Without Stim, the STV is trapped outside and will be slaughtered outside. The base trade is coming in. He's just going to drop everything out. The Widow Mines will connect. The probes are exposed. Does he recall? He's going straight for the command center. The third base is building. This could become very critical. Alive is stimming in. He might be able to take out some of the pylons, going straight for the probe, trying to gut the economy. Many probes have gone down thus far. I believe he didn't recall the probes. He just sent them down. The rest of everything is recalling out. So many probes are dying. The natural is gone. There's a couple Templar exposed, and they do not have Storm, remember, but Alive doesn't know that for sure. There's only a single medevac back here. Tries to get the prism. Does not find it. Splash damage from the Widow Mines all over the Zealots, but it's going to take a lot more than that to kill them. All right, the smoke clears. What's the situation? +1 weapons is done for Alive. +1 armor for herO. 26 probes to 27 SCVs. But the key part of this, Alive took that third on the low ground. It was not scouted by herO. Having that, if herO thinks he's dealing with a 1, maybe 1.5 base Terran, he's working with a different set of information. He really needs to find that base and react to it. Decide, okay, do I just go all in? Do I take a base of my own? What's the worker count? Stuff like that. The Raven is coming in. The Archon drop will respond, putting in kind of an awkward spot. Does he target? He targets the Prism. Not going to find it. Not going to find a kill, but there is an Observer back at home. I don't know if Alive has spotted it yet. herO still doesn't know about the third. Alive snipes off the Observer. Archon drop loads up again, but going to the herO cam. This is why he's not moving out. The map is dark and full of Terran. He doesn't know, like, there could be drops coming into the main. There could be attacks from towards the, well, potential third base location. The Raven coming in again. It's just too risky. He doesn't know about the third. He doesn't know, he thinks he's dealing with essentially a 1-base Terran. The Observer finally gets into place. I believe Alive just spotted it there. Does he have a scan? He does not. He's just backing off. Killing that Observer is actually priority over getting much more done. Medevacs are trying to go to the main, but he doesn't realize. Oh, no, 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 Alive, get out of there. Yeah, herO doesn't have those Observers that are so key to be able to preemptively react to everything going on. Oh, the Raven gets one auto turret. Auto turret does nothing. Now, Alive is the one dealing with minimal information. He doesn't realize. Right now, herO, once again, poor. He doesn't have a third. He's pushing forward. The Widow Mines, he's got to be careful they don't do more damage to his units than his opponents. This wall working against him now. It was 4 Hellions, and now it's just giving him hell. The double drop in the main. Snipes off a sentry. Picks up. He can join up with the main army. herO has to hold on. Storm just now completed. He's got 4 Templar. Are they in the Prism? Indeed they are. The Liberator siege up. Incredible storms all over the army. The Liberators are going to be pushed back. The Widow Mines get good shots off, but the storms push back the Terran army. That badly bruised Warp Prism still alive, giving herO the mobility he needs to get his spells off. Another backstab from the double drop. He scans the whole army moving out. We're going into a semi-base right here once again as we started. Is there a recall? There is a recall ready. He has the energy. He has to make tough decisions. herO, but a lot of Alive's army getting caught out. The Widow Mines connect. Rip through the Zealots. A recall comes out. The Storm Prism and a handful of charge lots warped in. A really interesting calculation from herO. It seems to have been almost perfect. That's exactly what he needed, and no more to deal with it. But now the army, it finds the third, realizes, oh, I really should have scouted this a while ago. But he finds a lot of the SCVs down there as well. Alive, desperately trying to put them together. The rest of the army moves out again. He doesn't have a recall this time. He doesn't have the money for a serious warp in. The cannon gonna go down, and the main base is exposed. At the same time, though, Alive has essentially no mining. He's got his main, a half-dozen mineral patches, less than that. herO is still mining off his natural. He's trying to put together as many units as possible. Will he be able to get to that Archon in time? He micros back. The Zealot's going to be taken out. He has to get on top of everything here. If he can snipe off the Archon before anything else, he might be in an okay spot. herO is walking back across the map. A single Archon, and the Storm Prism! The medevac gets away. A strong gust of wind, let alone a storm, would take out that Prism. The Archon drop is with it. The Templar as well. Is a feedback enough? But he loses the Archon. The Storms! Ooh. That medevac actually very technically out of storm range. A weird... Oh, wait. The Archon lived! It has no shields! It has no shields! No shields Archon. But herO saves it. He drives back the drop. He can't take a fourth. Or third, rather. That's how intense this game has been. A third is what we're discussing. Alive on 2 bases. None of them his natural. The Observer gonna spot the base has landed again. It's 1-1 against just +1 armor, which means the Bio Army, once again, without dealing with splash damage, well, without having splash damage, the Bio Army crushes the Gateway Army. It just rips right through it. Those storms are required. The Archon's Guardian Shield. Some cannons coming in. herO starting to feel like he has a stable position. He just needs to defend against drops. Cleaning up that last set of a couple medevacs was a big part of it. Oh, the army out on the map. Widow Mines could still be very dangerous for both sides. He picks up the unburrows the Widow Mine to reset it. It does get targeted down. There's a couple Templar in the back. A dangerous game here for Alive. He tries to snipe off the Templar, finds one. The dancing of death. But there's the pro. No! Oh, they all die. They all live. They all live. Just barely. The Widow Mine field spreading out the damage. Sniping off an observer. Yes, he gets it. Another Widow Mine at the third. He's going to trade a Zealot for it. But there's more where that came from. There's no counter damage. There's no drop at the back. Gotta be so careful. The storms are so dangerous. The splash damage almost gets the Warp Prism. Not quite. Picks up the Archon. Storms at the front. He zones him out. Liberator siege up. The Orbital is under fire. The Orbital going to fall. Well, he has to repair it. He needs that desperately. He's got to fight this. Are there any more Templar with energy? No, he loses the Prism. Alive, stepping forward, stabbing forward. He's still got a few medevacs in the back. The Liberation Zones keeping his Orbital alive. 37 to 18 workers. herO has the probes, but he's running out of mineral patches. Alive, his buildings can fly, which is a pretty nice advantage. The Archons don't have as much range as a lot of these Marines. Well, all of the Marines and Marauders, technically. They just got to be careful not to trip over each other. One Archon sniped off. Another one. He stutters stepping back. His Blink, he doesn't have Blink, and he's not starting it. These Stalkers can't just snap up extra units. The Sentry also taken with the concussive shells, and suddenly Alive. He's thinned out the army to the point. The splash damage is mostly gone. A few more Templar have been warped in. They're in another prism. herO just over and over rebuilding these prisms. He knows they're his ticket. Alive staying himself. As this game continues, he has to assume every prism has at least one Templar in it, if not more. I believe they have the energy for at least one storm. Now he's kind of stuck between his production and his mining. The medevacs are out of energy. He's not building any more of them. He needs something of a reprieve. A big warp and a charge lots. herO's going in. He's going to try to finish this here before any more bases can be taken. The Liberators are out of position. Alive trying to split up his army. He doesn't have EMPs, and even if he did, it's not guaranteed he'd be able to stop the storms. He already used one. He juggles a Templar forward in the prism. There's one more Templar, and that's huge damage that opens things up. The Liberators helping out, but they're not enough. Another warp in. The medevacs no longer a factor, and that is going to be it. Alive scans for a third. Just checking, is this really how close it was? Indeed it was. GG. He taps it out. No, okay, yeah, we got it the first time. herO takes it 2-1. Really using that Templar Prism. He knows how important. I don't think any of those games got past +1 upgrades. We had, and for games that go well over 10 minutes, not getting to +2 anything. Maybe the first game. I don't remember exactly. No, in the first game, I think. Yeah, now that I'm remembering it. It was a struggle for both players to get an economy. They just punch each other in the face over and over. But it was a great game. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to smash that like button. And in order to like on Twitch, all you have to do is say, I like this, XD, Kappa, 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 and feel like you're participating in a productive conversation. And if you want to see more games, make sure to subscribe or ring the bell or whine in Twitch chat or YouTube comments that the stuff that you want to see but we're too lazy to search for requires searching for. Things like that. Make sure to get that done. Thank you for watching this cast of IEM Katowice 2019. Hopefully, many more.